Hello and welcome to another Pauper Commander review, this time for Marvel superheroes. Say what you will about this set, the one thing I know is that it is huge. See, in addition to the main set, there's also a Commander set, which doesn't have any cards that pertain to us because they're not uncommons, but there is a Jumpstart set, which includes uncommon cards. There is a beginner box that includes exclusive uncommon cards, and there are welcome decks that, for some reason, also include uncommon cards. I don't really understand how rarity is decided for some of these other products, but either way, they count as uncommon, so they are legal in the format, so we have to talk about them. Despite how big it is, even if it was a normal size set, the ratio of uncommon creatures in this set is massive. There are just so many creatures, and a lot of them are really good. Now, part of that is because every single uncommon creature in the main set is a legend, and legendary is, mechanically speaking, a downside. So a lot of them are buffed because of that. Now, in the supplemental products, the Jumpstart products, and etc., there are some uncommon creatures that are not, and this is Pauper Commander, so we can run those too. For those of you who are looking at Pauper Commander for the first time, that might come as a surprise. So as a refresher, Pauper Commander is played with 99 common cards in your deck and one uncommon creature or vehicle or spacecraft in the command zone. It does not need to be legendary, it just needs to be an uncommon card that has a power and toughness box. All in all, I went through every commander option in both the main set and the supplemental set. In fact, I did a tier list of it with my girlfriend if you want to get the full breakdown. But this is just going to be the highlights, and there are so many top tier commanders in this set that I don't have time to talk about all of them. A top 10 really is just scratching the surface of cards that are legitimately strong, legitimately interesting, legitimately good. So, unlike usual, I'm going to rattle off some honorable mentions right now before we start. So, without going into any detail, here are the cards that probably deserve your attention, even though they didn't make the cut for the top 10 cards I wanted to actually discuss. Wiccan, Rising Magician, Justice, Vance Astrovik, Imperial Cosmographer, Moonstone, Harsh Mistress, Thor Odinson, Ant-Man Reformed Rogue, White Widow, Yelena Belova, Falcon, Joaquin Torres, Alex Wilder, Runaway, Radioactive Man, Wiccan, Young Avenger, Tippy Toe, Terrific Partner, Iron Lad, Young Avenger, Shuri, Wakandan Inventor, Misty Knight, Hero for Hire, Black Panther Vanguard, Pharaoh Rama Tut, Shi'ar Soldier, Red Hulk, Tigra, Feline Fury, The Thing, Ben Grimm, Kid Loki, Goliath, Mass Manipulator, Colleen Wing, Street Samurai, Mockingbird, Ace Agent, Voracious Brood, Grim Reaper, Lethal Legionnaire, Baron Strucker, Hydra Overlord, Whiplash, Vengeful Engineer, Loki Luffison, Atuma Atlantean Warlord, Iron Man Master of Machines, and Ultron's Auxiliary. With all that said, let's jump in to my top 10 Pauper Commanders for Marvel superheroes. Number 10, Rick Jones, Destined Sidekick. Rick Jones is a 1-mana green 0/3 legendary creature human advisor with 3 tap, mill 4 cards. You may put a hero or enchantment card from among those cards into your hand. This might surprise people. That other list I just rattled off, those have to be better than this guy, right? But I just am really interested in what they're doing. Anything that cares about filling your graveyard, this is a very reliable way of doing it. And if this just said 3-mana tap, draw a card, would that be good? I'm not sure, but looking at the top 4 and putting one into your hand is strong. Now, you have to be an enchantment, but at bare minimum, you could run enough heroes and enchantment creatures that you can always put a creature into your hand. That's solid. And while hero is a specific type to the Marvel sets, we almost only have heroes in the Spider-Man set and this set, there's still a lot of common heroes in mono green. Way more than I was expecting, and I think they definitely deserve your attention. Number 9, Swordsman, Sharp Scoundrel. Swordsman is a 2-mana black 2/2 legendary creature human hero villain. Whenever another villain you control enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to target creature you control. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, it connives. This is our first villain's payoff card in the set that I want to talk about, and at first glance, I didn't think this seemed that good, but if you split your cards evenly between your villains and your equipment, and you are consistently equipping all of your creatures, this just means that all of your creatures, when they attack, get to connive. Conniving is drawing a card, discarding a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a counter on that creature. That's a lot of value, and it's also free equips. All you have to do is be running villains, and I just think the villain archetypes are really fun. There are a ton of common villains available, because all villains have mooks, and mooks are the definition of a common villain. Number 8, Echo, Perceptive Prodigy. Echo is a 3-mana blue 1/4 human hero with Vigilance, and they have 1-tap copy target activated or triggered ability you control from a creature source. You may choose new targets for the copy. This is just one of those really flexible cards. At bare minimum, you can spend 1 and tap her to double an Enters trigger. And honestly, that can be good enough. You play a Muldrifter and you copy its Enters and draw 4 cards, I think you're going to be pretty happy. And there's just lots of ways of building her. This can be death triggers, this can be attack triggers, this can be activated abilities. It's whatever you want. And because there's so many untappers in mono blue, just untap her, pay another mana, and you can get 2 copies of the same trigger. Really flexible card, really high ceiling, really excited to see what other people do with it. Number 7, Madam Hydra. Madam Hydra is a 4-mana black and red 2/3 human villain with whenever you cast a villain spell, create a 2/1 black villain creature token with menace. There's a bunch of sources of this specific creature token in the set, and I think it's a really fun token. 2/1 are really cool stats, and having menace means they're like a legitimately interesting creature token. It's not just 1/1 sack fodder for your aristocrats deck. Once again, this is a Villain Matters commander, and I think this is probably the most interesting 2-color one in the set. Previously, in Spider-Man, we had a black-blue Villains Matter commander, which I think was very good then and has gotten much better with this set if you want to go revisit that one, but we didn't have a black-red villain commander. Madam Hydra is going to satisfy that perfectly. There are many more black common villains than there are red common villains, but there's a decent number to supplement your forces, and of course you just have access to anything else that red has to offer if you want to be running burn spells or impulse draw or whatever. All in all, whenever you cast a villain, you're getting 2 villains, and they're actually pretty good since they're 2/1s with menace. So I think that's going to go wide very fast and overwhelm a lot of decks. Number 6, Speedball, New Warrior. Speedball is a 3-mana blue and red hybrid 2/2 human hero. They have whenever a player casts a spell that targets Speedball, he gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you may choose new targets for that spell. This is such a weird effect. It's a sort of pseudo hexproof. If your opponent targets Speedball, you get to redirect that spell, if there's a legal target. But the other weird upside of this is that all of your removal spells, you can start by shooting your own Speedball. That gives Speedball a +2/+2 buff, and you still get to redirect it. So it's this very weird, both controlling and buffing strategy that also just comes with protection. They really remind me most of a Slippery Boggle. It's not true hexproof, but it's very similar. But what really makes Speedball interesting is that it goes into a new color. Izzet and Mono Red do not have access to that Slippery Boggle type effect, so it's actually a really interesting new niche because of the colors. And because they're hybrid, they do let you play just mono red if you so desire, instead of going to Izzet itself. Personally, I'm probably going to run all of the auras that deactivate a creature by tapping it or making it lose all of its abilities, because that could be redirected too. It's just whenever a player casts a spell that targets Speedball. Doesn't say anything about it being an instant or sorcery. Number 5, Hawkeye, Young Avenger. Hawkeye is a 4-mana 2/4 red human archer hero with reach, and if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, instead it deals that much damage plus X, where X is Hawkeye's power. At bare minimum, this is +2 to all of your non-combat damage, which is kind of a lot. It turns all of your pings into lightning bolts. As far as the archetype is concerned, Hawkeye has to compete as a commander with Torwaki the Younger. Torwaki is a 5-mana red and black 3/3 human archer with reach and lifelink. And if another source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. But in addition, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Torwaki the Younger deals 2 damage to any target. So if you're relying on instant and sorceries to do your non-combat damage, Torwaki is doing 3 damage at minimum, and 2 of that damage has lifelink. That said, Hawkeye is 1 mana cheaper and has no ceiling for how much bonus damage she can apply. Give her a couple of buffs and suddenly your pings are doing 5, 6, maybe even 7 damage. And you can see how that wouldn't take long for that to be pretty absurd. Of course, you need to be splitting your deck between pump and damage, but I think in mono red you should be able to get there without too much trouble. Number 4, Ant-Man, Colony Commander. Ant-Man is a 3-mana green and blue 2/2 human rogue hero with whenever Ant-Man attacks, you may pay 1. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. So this card does have a hard limit on how many tokens you're going to be creating per turn, but it's per turn, not per your turn. And in these colors, it shouldn't be too much trouble to be putting a counter on a creature on each turn, yours and your opponent's. So in a 4-player pod, that's 4 1/1 creatures every turn cycle. Additionally, just as a baseline, if you never get counters any other way, just being able to reliably put a counter on any creature whenever they attack is already very good. I always praise a card that can grow reliably, but especially if it can pass that counter around wherever you need it. The fact that it is going tall and wide at the same time feels really good, and I think it's going to just perform really well. Number 3, Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. Mr. Fantastic is a 4-mana blue 2/4 human scientist hero. They have reach, and whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, you may draw a card. Okay, I know I said I was saving only the ones I really thought were interesting to talk about, and this is just make token, draw card, but that's really good. It's so easy to make tokens. It has no limit for how many per turn. It has no limit on what type. It doesn't have to be an artifact. It doesn't have to be a creature. It can be anything. It's absurd. It's absurd. It may not be the most interesting. It's just draw more cards so you can do it more often. But that's exactly what you want. Your deck is going to let you churn out tokens just because that's how you built it, and you're never going to be wanting for cards to be able to continue to do it. It is a perfect engine that's going to run over so many tables. It's not super deep, but it's very good. Number 2, Captain America, Living Legend. Captain America is a 3-mana white and blue 3/4 human soldier hero with vigilance. And whenever a creature you control becomes tapped during your turn, if it's the first time that creature has become tapped this turn, untap it. We have seen a version of this effect before with Dionysus, Elvish Archdruid, which is a 4-mana 3/3 in green that only gives this ability to elves you control. In addition, though, it also puts counters on those creatures. It's very strong, and it's certainly not a 1-to-1 comparison, but this brings that effect into a different set of colors. This time we have 2 colors to play with, which is generally an upside, and while I'm not sure which is going to be raw stronger, they don't need to compete 1-to-1. They're doing very different things. Dionysus is in green, Captain America is in blue-white. Dionysus has access to elvish mana dorks that are going to double your mana output. Captain America has access to flyers that can swing in every combat and still be there ready to block. At bare minimum, Captain America is all your creatures have vigilance. If you want to go in a different direction, you can crew vehicles more efficiently or use tap abilities more than once. It's just a really flexible card that has a lot of raw strength, regardless of what you do with it. And barring all the other cards that I mentioned at the top of the video, our number 1 is Carolina Dean, Runaway. Carolina Dean is a 4-mana red 3/3 alien hero with flying. At the beginning of your first main phase, add white, blue, black, red, and green. You can't spend this mana to cast spells from your hand. There are not a lot of 5-color commanders in Pauper Commander. That on its own makes this worth talking about. But the effect is also just really strong. If this card just added 5 colorless or 5 red, I think I'd still be talking about it. Maybe not number 1, but that is so much mana. Yes, you have the hoop of not being able to cast spells from your hand with it, but it lets you do anything else. You can activate abilities and cast spells from exile. It's great with impulse draw. It's great with any kind of mana filter that doesn't have you go down value. There are so many directions to go with Carolina that while normally I'd just be interested in what can I do in 5 colors in Pauper Commander, I'm more interested in seeing what I can do with her specifically because it's just so cool and so good. Carolina Dean, I knew from the beginning was going to be my number 1 on this list when I saw her revealed, and nothing that I saw after changed my mind. She just is the strongest and most interesting Pauper Commander from this set. Regardless of your feelings on Marvel superhero being in Magic, this set is pretty absurd when it comes to new resources for Pauper Commander. I hope you have a great time playing with these new cards. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.